One.
What up, 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 America? Woo! You know what? I was gonna wear this today, but you know what? I just decided to let the ball head look go ahead. But every now and then, I'm gonna just pull this up like this. You know what I'm saying? So I can show my boy, my co-host, my brother, my friend, Mr. Don, not Cornelius, but yet Don Cornelius. What's going on, sir? What's good with you, man? Because we got a great show in store for you,
Oh
bro. Let's
God.
go.
I know you I
Ah.
know you're feeling good. That's congratulations.
Thank you.
You beat a team that is
But why you
immature.
gotta sound so low? Why you gotta? I don't hear no enthusiasm,
Nah,
man.
you
Like
know
I don't
what?
hear
I
no.
will say
I mean,
this. You guys thoroughly handled Memphis. I mean,
okay,
you shut them up, and
okay, yeah, yeah,
congratulations going to
yeah,
the next round, and
yeah.
it should be
Okay,
interesting. We'll
all
see
right,
who you
all
guys
right,
play
all right.
because we
Sound
still got a
better.
game
Okay.
7 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
without further
I'll
ado,
take
let's
that.
get into it, man.
Let's go, man.
Okay, as it's been stated, the Lakers do advance. The Lakers, it got to a point where you just had to shut it off. I started watching some other shows, stuff I had on the DVR, because Memphis did not put out a good product yesterday. It was somewhat embarrassing, and the Lakers dominated. D'Lo, this was D'Lo's game of his life. He was just hot behind three. Uh, they were dominating on defense. I think they had 15 blocks, 15 or 17 blocks. They just start to finish. This was a complete team win. And so hats off to them. LeBron didn't have to really exert himself too much. Anthony Davis didn't really, on the offensive side, didn't put up any monster numbers. I think he had 16 and 14. But
Mm-hmm.
defensively, he was very much a part of that dominating force that pretty much completely stifled Memphis. Nobody got off. It started off, Dylan Brooks hit a few threes. And I was like, okay, maybe this is his breakout game that he's been kind of alluding to. That, yeah, I got a game in me where I hit 3 or 4 threes. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the Lakers handled business, I'm sure, from a rest standpoint. They don't play again until Tuesday. That was huge for them because they would have had to travel all the way to Memphis. And then rest is going to be essential for the Lakers moving forward. I mean, listen, LeBron looks good. He had some, amazing dunk, but he's still 38 years old. One thing I don't like, it's annoying to me
Oh
when
boy,
he
here we
does,
go.
but listen, I have to say this.
I knew it was coming.
LeBron made this dunk. Why you sprinting down the court? Like, we
Yeah,
understand that I hate that.
he's going
I,
back on defense. That's all
he
he
is
was
not
doing.
going back
He was
on
playing.
defense.
He's going
He
back
is
on
not going
defense.
back on defense. But it's just to
Yo,
add to the effect of the look at me at 38. I'm like, yo,
you
LeBron,
know.
we understand you are a polarizing, you are
Oh my God.
arguably the greatest player to ever play. You don't have to do sprints down the court after you do an amazing shot. But shout outs to the Lakers. I'm not going to knock anything about the Lakers. D'Lo had the game. And that's what you're going to need, honestly, down the
Yeah,
stretch. It can't
yeah,
be one player that solely shares the load, the offensive
right,
load. In
right.
order for you guys to get deep, you're going to have to get contributions from other players, that Vanderbilt was even hitting threes. I'm like, yo, when you have those games like that where Vanderbilt hits,
Yeah,
I think two
yeah.
or
He like
three
two. Yeah, he like
corner
three.
threes.
Yeah,
It's like, okay,
he hit
it's
three. I think.
Memphis.
Yeah,
It's not your day.
right.
And the Lakers looked really good. It's going to be interesting how they fare and who they play next round because we'll talk about the Warriors later. They're
Right.
still dealing with a game 7 with
Yep.
Sacramento Kings.
Right.
So, but I'm sure you're super excited to kind of go on and on about your Lakers advancing. But what do you have to say?
No. We're gonna make it short and sweet because again, our play speaks for itself. The defense was everything, and I said this yesterday that it's about the defense. And the Lakers swarmed defensively. I mean, it was a total lockdown game, like you said. Nobody got off, and the thing was, is we were gonna have to make sure we got the ball out of Ja's hand because what they did in Game 5 is they ran up and down the court. I mean, unabated, unrestricted. I mean, Ja just left hand dunk, backwards, leaping over LeBron and AD, grabbing rebounds and dunking. Like, all right, enough of this nonsense, okay? None of this acrobatic stuff. No, you ain't getting past the foul line, bro. That's it. No more. You're not penetrating like you did in Game 5. That was not going to happen. The Lakers built their wall. They surrounded. They swarmed. They transitioned. They backed everybody up. Every layer of the defense was definitely manned. And that's what the Lakers, this game was all about defense. It was all about defense. Nobody was going to get off in this game. And like you say, D'Lo was tremendous. Really. He won that game, and he also won the Game 4 for us as well with those late threes that he hit in the fourth quarter. So D'Lo has his moments, because sometimes he could be a little inconsistent too, but overall he's been playing good. And to your point, actually, D, we got guys that are playing really well, like in their spots and in their moments, like Rudy, right? So Hachimura was really, really good. I think he was a key to a lot of the wins that we had early. He kind of tapered off a little bit towards the end, but it was all right. He still played well. He just didn't get as many shot attempts as he had in Game 1 and Game 2, but he still played very well. Mid-range, he got a block in there. You know what I mean? He still was effective. And as I said yesterday, Beasley rollout will save you for round 2. He was completely just nothing. He hasn't been giving us anything. Same thing with Troy Brown. So I like what Darvin Ham did. He went basically with an 8-man rotation, and you gotta love what Reeves is doing. Although Reeves is making me a little mad. I thought he had some stupid decisions he made while handling the ball yesterday. But overall, he does well, D'Lo. And I told you, D, I told you this about a month ago. You asked the question, how can LeBron be able to sustain if so much is on his back at 38? He's going to have to take up a lot of the slack, a lot of minutes. It's a lot for him to carry. But again, LeBron is resting while he's out there because you got other guys that can run the offense between Reeves, D'Lo, and Schroeder. You got guys that can play the ball, they can handle the ball, they can facilitate the offense enough where LeBron can at least still get his rest while he's still out there on the court. He doesn't have to overexert himself. In fact, he actually was able to concentrate a little bit more on defense. I thought LeBron played pretty good defense in this series. So again, it's all good. But I'm gonna say this about Memphis, right? And they're trash. That team is trash. I don't get nobody say they're trash. Ain't no real talent on that team. Outside of Ja, that's it. The talent level drops tremendously after Ja. Bane ain't it. Okay. Dillon ain't it. What they need to do is they need to trade them dudes. Ja needs another superstar, if the truth be told. He needs help because these guys are not going to help Ja get to the next level. Bane, unnecessary triceps, it's not going to work. He's not going to get you anywhere. Dillon can't, he's like Vanderbilt. Just going to let him shoot. He can't shoot. He's just a defensive dude that talk trash. He's garbage. The only guy I would say that really impressed me for the Memphis Grizzlies, as I would say, was Tillman. Tillman played really well. I thought he was a force down there for the most part, but
not Triple J? You didn't like Triple J?
I thought Triple J faded, especially yesterday. And in the other games too, he faded. Triple J does what he does, right? But the problem with him, he's a foul menace. He can't stay. He has to learn how to play defense without fouling. I mean, he's a good shot blocker, obviously, defensive player of the year. So we know what he can do. And he is a good player. And I mean, he did what he did, but there were some games where he was quiet. The Lakers kind of shut him down because, again, AD was that dude, and I love that we played Gabriel. I said that yesterday. We needed to get him in there. He gave us some really good minutes there, blocking, getting around the rim and stuff like that. He's really good. So I like that Darvin Ham, I thought, really, this defense and Darvin Ham, I felt, won this game because AD was going to give you what they was going to give you because they was going to dominate. But that's what I say. I feel good about it, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to say before we move on, D, I did not think we was going to win by 40. I'm not even going to lie. I did not know that we was going to dominate to that degree, to that extent. But you know what, though? It feels good. You know what I'm saying? Yo, shout out to Cam and Mikael Bridge. What up, yo? Yo, I just saw him on Flatbush Avenue. They was just down there. That's at the Gucci shop down there buying some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So just shouting out Brooklyn. Brooklyn, where you at? Brooklyn, this is where Listen, it's all good, D. I'm excited, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Let's
Okay,
go ahead,
well,
man.
listen.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
To the
ahead.
winner gets the spoils, right?
Yeah,
So
because you kicking my tail in the NFL, so I got to get
yeah,
this
so
right.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. I mean, our teams aren't playing head to head, but
No,
ultimately,
no.
your team is advancing and my team was swept. So,
Yeah,
shout outs to you. No problem.
yeah.
Now, your potential opponent will
Uh-huh.
be either the Warriors
Yeah.
or the Sacramento Kings. Do you have a preference as to who you would like to play and why? Which team do you think creates a bigger challenge to the Lakers, or do you think the Lakers, no matter who they play next round, they'll just dominate?
Well, I think the Lakers. I personally believe this that the Lakers is capable of beating both teams. But when you talk about the challenge and where the difficulties lie in terms of the potential opponent, it's definitely with Golden State because Golden State again defending champions. They know how to win on the road. They got a lot of experience, right? Tremendous amount of experience, and they can play defense. You got good defensive players between Draymond and Wiggins and even Clay. I mean, Clay hasn't been that two-way player he used to be to that degree, but they still. And then you got Gary Payton Jr. We talk about this a little bit in pre-production. Look, they are tough. They're a tough matchup, no question about it. I would rather play Sacramento. They're not a defensive-minded team, although they did play some heck of a defense in Game 6, I thought, against Golden State. But they're really not a defensive team. They're a scoring team. They can score points quick, fast. They move. So they're a lot like Memphis in that sense, where they can get up and down the court. Again, we got to build a wall. We're going to have to be able to trap guys. We're going to have to play a lot of intense defense. So I like Sacramento to be the matchup for us because they are less challenging, in my opinion. I don't think they got enough inside to stop AD, and I think we would dominate to a degree in some maybe a game or so in that matchup. I don't think we would just totally obliterate them, but I do think that we definitely would prevail a lot easier than we would against Golden State. So that's what I say.
So if you played Sacramento, you think what, Lakers in 5, and if you
I would say
played
Lakers in 6. I would say Lakers in 6. Yeah.
Lakers in 6, and what
Yeah.
if you play Golden State, it will be what, Lakers in what?
That one actually could go 7. That one could go 7. Yeah, that one could go 7. And look, we're on the road for the rest of our lives, right? So until unless we play a low-seeded team in the West, in the East in the finals if we get there. But what I'm saying is I don't think, it's going to be tough. Winning in Sacramento is tough. Winning in Golden State is tough. Those fans are crazy out there, man. They're going to make it real uncomfortable. So we got to stay locked in. But yeah, I say 7 against the Warriors, 6 against Sacramento.
Okay. I think ideally you would want to play Sacramento for the reasons you stated. I think defensively, although they can show from time to time glimpses of being a good defensive team on certain players in certain instances, overall they're more offensive based. Also, correct. I think the fact that Mike Brown is so familiar with Golden State, he can pinpoint areas of weakness to kind of hone in on defensively. And it makes a greater impact because he's so familiar with them. I don't think, although he has coached LeBron, I think that has been many moons ago. So I don't think, and the personnel is different. So he doesn't have that same familiar, hey, do this, try to push that. So I agree. I think that's to a benefit of Sacramento, how they have played, the Warriors. But I think in the next round, I do think ultimately the Warriors will advance. Okay. Because as I stated before, really, ideally, this is a good story for Sacramento, but nobody really wants to see them. A box office second round would be, the Lakers playing, the Warriors. That would be exciting. Some of the biggest names in the league, would be going head to head. I think that is, what people want to see. So I think Sacramento, and it adds to the excitement because, the question is, okay, the Warriors already won on the road in this series, but can they win a game 7 with everything on the line? In Sacramento, it's like, and after looking so bad everybody's mind is tilting towards, oh yeah, maybe Sacramento just has their number. But I don't
Right.
think that's going to be the case. I think the Warriors will show up. That championship pedigree will shine,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
just what the
Yeah.
NBA wants. This is a good
Oh yeah.
story. We said it would go 7
Yeah.
because it's a feel good story. Now
Right.
we're down to, it'll be, 2 California teams left. But
Right.
the Lakers also benefit because this next round, although it's not as close as dealing with, you know, uh, the Warriors in Sacramento, just a quick drive. They don't have to get on the plane, no wear and
Right.
tear.
Right.
Being able to have your series in California is of a great benefit. I mean, it's a short
It is.
flight,
Absolutely.
and you can just kind of,
Talk about
it's beneficial that way.
that. It is.
So
Very much so.
we'll see what happens next round. Warriors play. I think they will prevail tomorrow, and it should be interesting. I think the first game is Tuesday.
Yes.
Whoever it is, either way.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, the Lakers are on the road. Both of the teams that they would potentially face have better records and higher stands. They're higher in the standings, so they
Right.
will be on the road. And so,
Right.
any way you cut it, it should be really, really good. It's going to
Yeah.
be now round 2 is
Yeah.
going to be where we
Yeah.
really see what teams are made of, right?
Yeah. Facts.
But
I agree.
let's go to the Warriors. The Warriors, as we kind of mentioned already, they didn't look good yesterday. I think the Kings kind of dominated them. I mean, they got, once again, as we talked about, the Lakers having different players, kind of perform when it's necessary. We know that De'Aaron Fox is dealing with, a fractured finger on his shooting hand, but at the end of the day, he got help from Monk. There was I think his name is Isles. Is his name Isles?
Yeah, Isles. I think it is Isles.
I think his name is Isles, but he played some big minutes, I think. So you get that kind of help. Sabonis fouls out. I don't know how you foul out, knowing how important you are to the series, your size. They need your size, right?
Yeah, they do.
I mean, because the Warriors overall are not a big team, but you have to maximize where you feel your advantages. And Sabonis fouling out, some of those are just mental errors that cause you to take stupid fouls that would cost you. Need to be in there as much as possible. They need your size. And even when they try to force you to your dominant hand or away from your dominant hand, you really need to be able to pass out of it or, position yourself where you could actually impact the game. But him sitting on the bench, I guess maybe the game was already out of hand and they already had a comfortable lead, so it didn't impact it to the degree it would if he fouls out against the Lakers or something like that, where now you're missing that size. What do you say?
No, I say the same thing. Oh, and my bad, D, it's actually Lyles. Yeah, Lyles.
Lyles. Okay, thank you.
Lyles, yeah.
No,
you good. No, I was saying the same thing too. My bad. Yeah, Lyles. But no, I think, and Malik Monk, man, I'm telling you, I miss him. He was with us last year. I miss him. He was a bright spot for such a dismal season last year for us. And of course, we lost him in free agency because Russ ate up a lot of our money, so we couldn't keep him. But I like what he's doing. I love his aggression, and I really think he's the engine that makes it go. We know Fox is the star ultimately, and Fox playing with the broken finger and everything. That dude is a troublemaker, man. He really, the speed. That's what I really wish the Lakers would have drafted instead of what's his name, Alonzo Ball, but that was Magic gaslighting that nonsense. Anyway, I'm still talking about the Lakers. I'm sorry, G. You asked me about the team last night. So, but basically, I say this though. What it was is that they kept coming, pushing Sacramento, right? So when they got on the run, Golden State, they're scoring, Steph is trying to cook a little bit. They just kept pushing the pace. They kept running up and down the court. Again, like I say, they remind me a lot like Memphis, particularly in what they showed in the game five of the Lakers series. They're a team that's got speed and they know how to move, and those guys keep coming. Murray was another one, just kept pushing. and then Herter, the kid. I remember him when he, was with the Falcons, the Hawks, and he was a really good shooter there too. So again, this is a team that's interesting to me because again, they can score. And I'm a little shocked because we know Mike Brown is a defensive-minded coach. Every team he's ever coached, it's defense first. He's a defensive-minded coach. So it's ironic and weird that his team, and of course being unanimously the coach of the year, to take this team and have them on such a high offensive prowess like they are. It really is interesting to just see that. But they're going to need to play some defense at some point. They're going to have to get some stops and some shutdowns. And basically for them, their defense is their offense. So you got to be able to shut them down. But I thought yesterday they did a really good job with that. Sabonis, like you said, he's been trash all series long. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the Kings a lot this year, so I don't really know. I know he's an all-star. He's a really good player, but he's shown nothing. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Kevon Looney. That's another reason why I don't want to see the Warriors. I think Looney is a guy that could give AD problems should they prevail, or advance. So he's doing a really good job down there with Sabonis and just the defense and what have you. But I think we're gonna, Game 7 is gonna be good. I think I got the Kings winning. But again, I'm not surprised if Golden State does prevail, and even for the reasons in which you stated, of course, because they are the more attractive commodity for round 2 against the Lakers. So, yep.
You said Kevon Looney is going to give AD problems?
I think so a little bit. Not like he's going to shut him down, but I think he's a big body. But he is a big. In other words, because Looney's a big body, and he really knows how to play. Like, in other words, to me, he's more of a specialist. He's not like Tillman and Jackson, though those are really good defenders, right? But they also look to score and stuff. That's not Looney. Looney's like, I'm not, my job is strictly rebound and defense. And when you got guys like that, that's difficult to a degree because they're more focused on what their assignment is. I'm just saying, but no,
don't you guys have Mo Bamba to offset whatever you can bring? Doesn't he have? You guys have Mo Bamba to offset anything Looney brings to the table, man. I can't believe that you said like.
Well, I think he's going to give. I think he's a big. I mean, he's not going to shut AD
If
down,
you're going to right, let's be honest.
Okay.
If you're going to say that, and you said it from the beginning, you said that you felt that the Lakers could beat Memphis, and you were not that AD was going to dominate. Yeah. Jared Jackson, he just won the Defensive Player of the Year, and now you're bringing up Kevon Looney as being a problem for AD
because his
What
size.
are we talking about?
You know what it is? See, the thing is because number one, right? He knows how to play defense without fouling to a degree, right? He doesn't. Again, Jackson is a good defensive player, clearly so, right? To your point, just won the Defensive Player of the Year. But he's not. He still fouls a lot. That's why they end up taking him off AD because he's just a fouling machine, and he doesn't. His body is not the same like Kevon Looney. That's a big boy. So what you're gonna have to do is, AD is gonna have to get some jump shots going. He's gonna have to have his touch because he's not gonna be able to really get down there with the level of ease like he did against Memphis. I feel because Looney is a big boy. That's a big body.
He's wiry. He's wiry and lanky. He's not. I don't think he's not built like Jaren Jackson at all. I think Jaren Jackson is actually more sturdy than. You know,
think so? I think Jackson's a little more athletic for me.
Looney gives me that, Michael Jackson, the Wiz. You see, when he was up on, like, he's just kind of, I don't know, man. At any point, he might say, "You can't win." He might do that. He's a good player, but you know what's so crazy? I watched a tape of him in college.
Okay.
He was really, really good in college. You see how he's kind of more of a defensive specialist?
Right.
He was taking the ball down, dribbling, pulling up mid-range. He had a really, really good game. So it was, I don't know, but it should be interesting. Any way you cut it, because of so many, potential matchup problems and mismatches with the Warriors players, if you indeed play them, we're not going to discredit or discount Sacramento yet, although I think it's all but a done deal. Clay is going to be a problem. Of course, Steph. It's going to be it's going to be really, really exciting. That's going to be a really, really good series.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
So let's talk about the second round matchups that are starting to take place. Okay, we got the Knicks, and we're going to talk about Giannis. And there's no losing in sports later, but we're going to talk about the Knicks versus the Heat.
Right.
Okay, so
Ooh.
this is going to be the second round is going to be extremely exciting because all of the teams, they either have a history or the players match up well, and it really depends. Is it finesse? Is it high scoring? Is it grit?
Right.
Is it how will these teams fare against each other? Because Jimmy Butler is on a tear. I mean, this is
man.
he is okay. I wouldn't say he's a good player. Kind of good player during the regular season. Postseason, he takes it up 5 notches. I mean, he's unbelievable. Clutch.
Right. Big time.
I mean, he will put the team on his back. He will take the offensive load he has, and it's kind of like a kind of an infectious kind of move because Miami moves as Jimmy moves, right?
Absolutely.
Bam Adebayo didn't do much. He was okay, but Jimmy Butler solely put the team on his back and was the singular reason that they eliminated the Bucks. Because he just it was a challenge. You lose one of your starters, your scorers, and now Duncan Robinson comes in, but he's no Tyler Hero. And so now you have to make up for that, the shooting, but they have shooters around. And I think that Mike Budenholzer was outcoached, right? Giannis was dealing with an injury.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler played extremely hard. It was although Middleton had good games, Brook Lopez had good games, they could never get the momentum to, get them over the top. Even when they had huge leads, they still lost the game. So I think the Knicks, now the question is Julius Randle going to be, ready and able to play because he's dealing with an injury? There's talk that he may miss game 1 and game 2. If that is the case, advantage Miami. I think Miami is riding high. Yes, the Knicks have home court advantage, but I don't excuse me, I don't think that Jimmy Butler, the Garden is not too big for Jimmy Butler. He can go in the Garden, drop 40 on you and beat you. It's not like all of a sudden, he only plays good at home. He will handle it as if he is in Miami. He can ball out. So what do you say?
No, I say the same thing too. This series to me is an interesting series because, like you said, is it grit? Is it going to be athleticism? Is it going to be obviously some chess matches that you're going to see between, the coaches there with Tibbs and I'm drawing a brain fart right now. The coach of the Heat, Spoelstra. Thank you, Eric Spoelstra. So it's going to be interesting, but I think it comes down to what it's always been about for Miami, and that's Jimmy Butler. That's it. Point blank. He's the grit. He's the heart. He's the soul. And as you stated, D, and I agree, they go as he goes, and that's a dog. That dude is not afraid of anybody. He will go in any arena and do what he has to do to will his team to win. You know what I mean? And Jimmy is, he's not considered to be one of the most talented guys, right? Like, he don't give you that Kobe, Jordan kind of, talent where they just, he was a guy that kind of had to work his way up, but he's been successful everywhere he's gone, right? But he's one of those kind of guys that I think he just relies more on his will and his desire and his mindset to just be able to take it from you, right? Than he is even in his own skill set, right? Which he still has a really, really good skill set. The thing that bothers me a little bit with the Knicks, and then I tell the Knicks fans, my brother, and all the other Knicks fans I know, the Knicks were like dead last in the league in assists, right? They are an ISO team. It's either Brunson or it's going to be Randall, right? And even Emmanuel quickly has his moments where he's going to get ISO. they're not a team that's going to move the ball a whole lot. You know, even R.J. Barrett, he's going to take the ball to the hole. Like, they're an ISO team. They got guys that can create their own shots, and they're really good at it, right? Brunson is amazing. He's amazing, no question about it. The greatest pickup that the Knicks had. I think he's probably been the best acquisition probably since Carmelo Anthony, if you will, right? So I think when you look at the Knicks, you're going to definitely have, which makes it a little difficult to some degree because you trap one guy, you got another guy who can get the ball out and do some things. If Randall misses game 1, he misses game 2, advantage Miami. Totally agree with you, D. I don't knock that. I do like the Heat in this series, though. I do. I think the Heat is going to go in 6. So that's what I got. Now, you got no hero, and obviously Victor Oladipo is out for the rest of the year. So they're shorthanded again. Knicks do play some good defense. So, and you know, Tibbs is a defensive-minded coach. So this is a little bit different, although Milwaukee's a good defensive team too. So but again, I still see Miami prevailing and getting, you're going to need some play from Duncan, and Adebayo is going to have to take advantage, particularly if Randall isn't there. He's got to definitely step up, which I think he did in the last few games there. But let me say this real quick though, D. This is why I say before, it's all crap. With Giannis, he should have played. I don't care. I don't care what anybody tell me. I don't care. He was not that hurt where he could not have played game 2 and 3. That's what you get when you don't play in these playoffs and you're trying to load management. They took the Heat for granted. They thought they was going to prevail, even though I believe, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they split the 2 games that Giannis was out. But see, again, every game is critical in a playoff series, and you are a championship team. You should know this. You know you're not supposed to take any team for granted. And round 1, you want to get out as quickly as possible, right? That's the one round. You're a top seed. You're fighting and scrapping with a play-in team. You need to handle your business and get out of there. Giannis, because if you win that series and you wipe them quick, then you got time to rest. But you being out on a little back contusion, no. Play. You need to play. There ain't no reason to stay out for a back contusion. And all the treatment and stuff you can get, you got enough to get. Listen, again, D, I'm going to say this again. I'm starting to get revved up. The only job these guys have is to play basketball. That's it. That's your only job. You have nothing else to do. You ain't watching the kids. You got nannies for that. You ain't selling insurance after the game. You guys make so much money. Your only job in life is to play basketball. That's all you got to do. You wake up and you dribble a ball and put it in the hoop. That's your whole life's mission for the next 10 years of your life. Play basketball. And you can't even do that because your finger hurt. Your toe is hurt. You had a little backache. That's crap. Play the sport you get paid to play. That's your job. Play basketball. You got nothing else to do. Nobody's requiring anything of you but to shoot the ball and block the ball and rebound the ball and pass the ball and dribble the ball. That's it. You got no other obligation in life. Play the game of basketball. No reason for him to be out. 2 games cost them with him being out, and that's a bad thing, and that one falls on Giannis for that because you still had enough to play. If you ain't break a hand or something like that, it doesn't matter. Shout out to Deandre Fox, whatever. I can't even get his first name right. Fox for playing with a broken hand. Shout out to John Morant, who played Auburn with one arm, okay, and still did damage, all right, with a bad hand because these guys can play. We don't want to hear about that, man. Giannis, that's crap, and it's cap, so you should have played.
And just so you know, they only won 1 game, so it was a gentleman's sweep. It was 4-1. So I don't think. I think they lost 3 in a row. So
they lost both those games because Giannis missed 2 games, did he not?
Yeah. Well, really, he missed 2.5 games because the first game because Giannis was out
got hurt in
almost 3 games, right?
Right.
So he got hurt in the first 12 minutes, I think, of game number 2.
Yeah, I thought he got hurt. Well, wasn't it game 1? Didn't he get hurt in game 1?
Oh yeah, game 1. I'm sorry, game 1.
Okay.
And so.
So he missed half that game, and then he missed
half that game, and then he missed the next 2 games, and then by then it was a wrap.
Yeah. See. He could have played. He could have.
Yeah.
Played. He wasn't hurt that bad that you can't play. You came back out in game 4, right? You came back out in game 4 and played. Like if you could still play in the series, you could have played the other games. That's how I look at it.
Well, hey, listen, it is what it is. It's sometimes when you give a team, momentum, momentum counts for something. So
It does. It does. You're right. I agree. All right. I'm sorry. I know we've been on
so
that
you
train
like the
probably
Heat?
longer than we should.
You like the Heat in that
I like the
series?
Heat. I like the Heat in 6. I do. I do
Heat
like
in
the Heat.
6.
Yeah, I like
I
the Heat
like.
in 6.
Well, I'm with you on that. I think the Heat in 6. I like the Heat. Excuse me. Let's go to the next game or the next series
Yeah.
that starts today. Suns versus the Nuggets.
Ooh, that's
Now this
good.
is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. That's gonna be good.
Denver, super deep bench. They got players on top of players. They have a really good team. 2-time MVP. They got Murray is back playing in pre-injury form, and they're hungry, right? And they're kind of right below the radar. Teams initially were kind of the league and everybody was looking at them as being a dominant team. Then towards the end of the season, they started dropping games and they were like, oh, well, yeah, nothing to see here. Denver hasn't shown enough. They're just a regular season team. Right. And in the postseason, they always fall on their face, blah, blah, blah. And I think sometimes when you're a good team and then people take, they kind of underestimate you in a sense, it's a good place to be in because you want people like we just discussed with Miami and the Bucks. They kind of underestimated them, and now they're or at home with Brooklyn and Memphis, and everybody's watching the rest of the playoffs. So I think from a standpoint, this is going to be I think it's going to benefit the Suns to try to get this game done in 4 games. It's like how Mike Tyson used to fight.
For who to win in 4 games? Phoenix or Denver?
The Suns? The Suns need to try to win this in 4. Because I didn't say they were going to sweep them. I said it would be in their best interest to try to get it done in 4. Because if it goes on and on, because they don't have a bench, they're going to be impacted by long. If KD and CP3 and Booker have to put up average 40 to 45 minutes, a game, advantage Denver.
Yeah.
Because they won't have to, Jokic is not going to have to play that amount of time. Yeah. And if he does, it won't be on a consistent basis, right?
Right.
He'll have to maybe pick his spots because he has, Murray and he has Porter Jr. and he has other players. Because what it boils down to is the fact that when the starters are getting their rest, is it a huge drop off from the starters to the second team that comes in? And if you can there's no doubt that the Suns can maybe build a lead, but can they maintain it? And if every time they sit on the bench, Denver either comes back or starts taking the lead, then of course that load, that amount of time that they're going to have to play is as the games get into the 5th, 6th, and then if they go 7 games, even if they ultimately get through Denver, the next series they're going to be shot because they have to preserve themselves as much as possible. And I think a shorter series benefits the Suns. When you don't have a bench, get it over with. A longer series definitely benefits Denver because, hey, time is on their side. At some point, you're going to tire out. You're going to have an off game. And then that's when we spring into action. What do you say?
Right. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, again, it's the depth issue, right? That's the problem for the Suns. They just don't have a bench. So the longer the series goes, the more advantage points to the Nuggets. And I like KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I like him. He's a good defender. I like to see him. He'll probably play on Booker in some instances. You'll probably have Aaron, what's his name in there? I can't think. I'm having a brain. The Lakers are still in my head here. What's his name? Aaron. I want to say Aaron Donald. Jesus. Gordon. Aaron Gordon. Excuse me. Thank you. Playing some defense there too, switching off with, playing some KD. And I think what you're going to need to have is, again, they're going to find a way to take one of the two stars out of the game, make them a little less effective, right? It's one of those old adage: you can't stop them, but you can only contain them, right? You got to find out who you're going to have that's going to really be able that you got to take away one of the weapons that Phoenix have between, obviously, with KD and then Booker. So I think the thing that you got there is you're going to have to, you got some really good defenders on the wings with Porter and Gordon and KCP. They got guys that can play. You want to look for some mismatch in with Chris Paul on the defensive side. He can be a liability there, so you can get some matchups there if you're Denver. And everything's going to run through Jokic. And Jokic knows how to get the ball out. He knows how to make the right passes. And there's a lot of precision to their offense. They're a little bit more schematic, a little bit more devised than the Clippers are offensively. And so they're going to see a whole different team. And I like Denver in this series. I actually like Denver. I like Denver in 6. I do. And I hope they do prevail, because should we get past the semis, I'd rather, even though, again, it's just KD still kind of scares me. So, because KD is still KD, right? And so if Phoenix is to prevail, they are a team that, again, KD is going to have to take this team to the next level. He's going to have to really play some basketball, some minutes. He's going to grind to get this win if they're going to prevail, because, again, they have no bench. And I would rather, but although I would, I don't know. I want Denver to win, but I don't necessarily want to play Denver. I still maybe want to play Phoenix, but nevertheless, I still like Denver in this. So that's what I got.
So you got Denver in 6.
Yeah,
I've been going back and forth with this because I factor in, like we've already discussed, bench teams, but I'm also looking at the next round, and there has to be a factor of what the NBA also kind of wants. What is going to be the biggest draw, right?
Oh yeah.
And I would have to think it has to be the Suns versus the Warriors or the Lakers. I think that is, let's just say it's the Lakers. LeBron and Kevin Durant haven't played in the playoffs since 2018.
Right.
They haven't played against each other in a very, very long time. So people want to see that. Of course, do they want to see Phoenix against the Warriors in a, kind of, this is KD's opportunity to really, avenge all of the, we didn't need you, we had one before you, we had one after you. There's a lot of storylines in this potentially this next round. Yeah. And any way you cut it, Phoenix has to do their job and win. And then there is 2 different distinct narratives that are exciting. Each one is exciting either way how it turns out. But I think I'm going to go with Phoenix. I'm going to go with Phoenix to win in 5. It's not what I'm taking into account. That it needs to be short. It can't go 7 games. It needs to be short for Phoenix's sake. It needs to be short. So I'm going to go with.
How can they make it short? They won't be able to make it short. They won't. It's no way.
Why can't they?
Because to your point, they have no depth. And who's going to stop Murray? I think Murray's going to be the guy that's going to take them over the top. They got no one that can hold that kid.
I think it's going to have to be just a scoring dominance. It's going to have to be something where if Kevin Durant, who quietly, Devin Booker is getting a lot of the shine because he's 38 points, he's dropping.
Yeah,
but
he's dropping,
Kevin Durant, right just below the surface, is like 29 points. He's not really.
No, he's. Oh yeah.
And he's not taking as many shots as Booker. When Kevin has to ratchet up the amount of shots that he takes, and as efficient as he is, I think he can drop 40 on a consistent basis.
But see,
so I think they're going to have to do it quickly. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it quickly.
See, but here's where I disagree, because even if I'm hearing you right, you're implying that really Phoenix offense is what's going to prevail, right? That's going to have to be their defense, right? If KD and Booker are scoring a lot and scoring quick, they can but that's not going to happen. Denver's a really good defensive team. And Denver understands that it's about stops. And they got a lot of guys who can play defense. And they got old chicken leg over there, Bruce Brown from your team. You know what I'm trying to say? They got him running around too. He's a pretty good defender as well. They're a very solid defensive team. And so
it's a really good team.
It's a really good team. And so the thing that you have there is that Phoenix is not going to be able to score a barrage of points with ease against this team. Not like they did against the Clippers. Why? Because they didn't have to worry about stopping anybody defensively, when the truth be told. I mean, Powell is good, but you ain't losing sleep over him, right? You ain't staying up all night wondering how you're going to stop, Powell. So they had no real worries defensively. There is no kind of any responsibility that Phoenix had in this first round against the Clippers. Now in this here, defensively, they gotta buckle down, and they don't have those wings. Cam and Bridges and them guys are gone. You don't have old boy anymore as well. You know what I'm saying? So
you got Torrey Craig, and that's pretty much it.
Craig is a pretty good, and he used to play with Denver too, so he kind of knows a little bit their tendencies. He did 3 years over there in Denver. He can play, but the truth is that again, they got scorers. And they play efficiently. They move the ball very well, and they pick their spots. And then you still got a dog that can take the game over in Jamal Murray, just the same. He can score a barrage of points, and they got nobody that can hold him. Ain't nobody on there. And KD's not no stopper. Okay, he's not. I mean, he can play some D, he gets some blocks and stuff. He's not a stopper. And if you make Booker play defense now, that's going to take away from his offense. So again, there's no way Phoenix is winning this in 5. And if they depending on their offense to win, they're not going to win. Ain't no way. They're going to have to buckle down the defense, and they just ain't got it. Their defense ain't there. I don't care. And I'm taking Jokic over 8 in any day.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I just think we'll see. We'll see. But they have no, and so I'm acknowledging that, but I'm also acknowledging part of my pick is based on what I think is most exciting for the league. I'm factoring that in too, because if I just made it solely about what team is better, what team has better depth, obviously it's Denver hands down. Denver should beat them in 6, right? I would think Denver based on that. But I have to factor in the fact that although, Jokic is a 2-time MVP, and he's an unassuming superstar, I just think you want to see who you want to see at the end of the day. And fans, what are fans going to be engaged in?
Oh, yeah.
Fan base. I think, I'm not saying Denver doesn't have a good fan base, but but KD has a following. Congratulations to him. He has joined Michael Jordan and LeBron James as having a lifetime, contract with Nike. Yeah. So that kind of stuff matters in the grand scheme of things. So some way, somehow, I would think that they're going to be able to get it done. I do think that the Suns advance against Denver. I do think as tough as that is.
Well, you're saying they'll advance because the NBA is gonna either swallow their whistle or blow their whistle quite a bit in the.
I think yes. I think that all the extra players that you add that you spoke about that are adding to Denver's bench, I think that they're going to get those. See, when you're top heavy and you have superstars and superstars that almost if you breathe on them, they're getting a whistle. That is going to be able to neutralize your bench. If those defensive stoppers are now on the bench because they got 3 fouls in the first quarter, then what does it matter? It doesn't matter. Bruce Brown, his arms could be all the way. His arms could stretch all the way into the locker room. But if you got 3 fouls in 3 minutes trying to play D on Kevin Durant, then that kind of neutralizes the bench. And then if you go superstar for superstar, then advantage still is Phoenix, because if Jamal Murray and Jokic aren't as good as KD and Booker, if it's based on scoring and
based on scoring,
So I still give advantage to Phoenix. I think there'll be some way somehow will be able to pull it off. I'm adding the fact that for their benefit, they need to do it quickly, because a longer series, if it goes 7, it's a disadvantage for them. Even if they get through them, they're going to be tired for the next series.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you there.
So
they're going to do it, do it
quickly.
Do it quickly. Whatever you're going to do it quickly.
Right.
But I'll say this real quick, though. So are you saying then that Denver is the better team and they should win, but they won't because the NBA needs to see Kevin Durant in the conference finals?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think that the bench, as deep as it is, it will be neutralized because the whistle is gonna be going crazy. I was joking. I was on a kind of a group meet with some brothers in my church, and I was talking about Tony Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Tony Brothers. That first 5 minutes was blowing the whistle so much. He looks a little bit.
You talking about the Laker game last night, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
He looks a little bit like Blackula, right? I said Tony Blackula Brothers. He was blowing the whistle so much. I'm like,
he was.
Like, it's too much.
At the free throw line. It was only 10 seconds in the game.
And so I'm saying, that is a factor, right?
No, it is.
I'm not saying it was the reason that the Lakers blew them out by 40, but that can slow down some players being playing defensively aggressive against the superstars, bodying up against them and trying to lock down Booker, because if he's starting to get shots, and send Booker and Kevin Durant to the free throw line 15 times a game and see what that does.
Right.
Because then it makes it easier for them. I don't have to exert. I can go to the line. I'm a high 80s, low 90s free throw shooter, and that will neutralize. Right. So there's many ways to skin a cat. Right. And so we'll see what happens. I'm gonna stick with Phoenix, and whether it's 5, 6, or 7, I would say 5, because that would be, the best thing for them. Lose one game and try to finish them out. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, interesting take. Yeah.
Okay, so let's also talk really quickly about Boston and the 76ers. This is going to be an interesting series. Now, I don't know what the status of Joel Embiid is. Doc Rivers has been a little cryptic, in his messaging. He's about 50%. He's, I don't know. He's going to be, 60%. I don't know what he's going to do. And maybe that's just not to give Boston a true indication of how good he's going to be and ready to play. But they swept Brooklyn, so they got time. And now he's saying he has a sprain. If he has any type of significant sprain in his knee, like what KD suffered towards the end of the season, or what Paul George had, well, it's a wrap. The Boston's going to steamroll him.
Absolutely.
But if that's just kind of Doc Rivers kind of not being completely honest as to the true injury, because the 76ers have a pretty deep bench, but they're not going to see Boston. You need Embiid. Embiid has to be
question. He
has to dominate, and he has the ability to dominate Boston. But if he is in any way hindered or hampered, you got no shot against Boston. And it's going to be tough, even with Embiid fully, engaged and being able to play. But certainly, if he's not 100%, you got no shot. What do you say?
I definitely agree. I mean, you've been saying it, all throughout the year, D. To your credit, Embiid, it's something, right? It's always going to be something. And if he's can't play, then they don't have a chance. Not at all. I mean, again, like Jimmy Butler with the Heat, so goes the Sixers without Embiid. So, and yes, Maxey is good and he's playing well, but Tobias Harris, again, no one's losing sleep over him, and Harden has actually been shooting terrible from the field. Actually, he didn't play really well against the Nets as that series went on. And so, without Embiid, there's no hope for them at all. And so Jalen and what's his name? Join another brain fart here. I can't say two names at one time too fast.
Jaylen Brown, right?
Jaylen Brown and Tatum.
Yeah.
And I just think those guys are they're gonna bring a lot. But again, the Sixers are an interesting team. Because again, they've got the speed. I love Maxi's game. Harden, you just don't know. I know you and I were kind of talking back and forth. Like I was saying, we know he's not the Houston Harden anymore, but he can facilitate still. But he still has to shoot better from the field. He's got to do a lot better in that sense. In fact, I was reading something here. So basically, he was 9 for 34 and 2-point shots against Brooklyn in the 4 games against Brooklyn. Okay, and then his numbers was worse as he drove. He was 7 of 30, so 23% in the paint against the Nets. Okay, so he's got to definitely pick up his shooting if they have a chance, particularly if Embiid isn't there. But he's saying 50% chance. I think Doc Rivers was saying. Yeah. But again, and I'm gonna say that like I say with Giannis, you better play. If your knee is not in another state and your knee is affixed to your body, you play. Right. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna sprain. It's a sprain, whatever. Do what you got to do. Even if you got to kind of low manage in the game, that's fine. But you got to play. Nobody wants to hear that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, he sat in game 4 against the Nets, and with all due respect, D. Okay, right? If he was going to sit, that would be the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
The series was over for all intents and purposes. You're up 3-0. You can sacrifice a game there, right? All right, that's okay, fine. You had enough rest. The Atlanta extended the series, so that helped y'all out, right? Because that series went what? That was 6, right? Did I went 6, right? So
yeah, it went 6.
Again, so Boston didn't even handle their business like they should have, right? Because then they would have been able to play a team like the Sixers, who's still trying to get Embiid healthy, right? But they actually did them a favor by not closing out Atlanta, and then that gave Embiid some more rest. So I don't want to hear nothing. You're playing. You better play. And to your point, you're probably just being cryptic about it because he doesn't want to tip his hand whether he's going to play or not. But he's going to play, and you need him to play. But in that series there, honestly, I still like Boston. I like Boston in that series, and I'm taking Boston in. I'm actually going to take Boston in 7 in that one. I think that's going to go 7. If Embiid is playing in every game. If he decides to low manage himself and not play a game or whatever because he got a little hurt knee, then it's crap. Then Boston is back. And who do you think the NBA wants to see? Do they want to see Boston or do they want to see Embiid?
I think they want to see Boston. I think they want to see Boston. It all depends. Do they want to see Boston and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals? Oh God, I don't know.
That's a good matchup. I mean, the Knicks. If you got the Knicks in anything, right? I mean, having the Knicks there is still good.
But why is it? Is it based off of name recognition? Is it based off of the team itself?
Yeah.
Because it's exciting, right? It's exciting. Jalen Brunson is playing well. It all depends. Now, I will say this. It's going to depend if the Knicks are completely intact, right? Julius Randle's back. It depends if Embiid is back, right? Is Embiid intact? Because whoever ultimately, Eastern Conference, you want that team to really represent. And I'd say the Celtics, because the Celtics out of all of those teams are the most intact. At the end of the day, the finals need to be a product where there's no what ifs. Oh, well, what if they had that player, that might have made the difference, right? So if you look at right now how it looks, you would say, okay, well, out of the East, Boston's the team that's the most intact, right? And if you think about the West, well, you got a few teams that are still intact, right? You got the Lakers are intact. You got Denver that's intact. You have the Warriors that are intact, where there's no injury that is kind of
that's
like De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
They're intact, but your best player isn't 100%, and he's dealing with something that is not avoidable. It's his shooting hand. It's not his offhand. It's a shooting hand. So that is going to affect maybe how aggressive he goes to the hole. Because if he gets hit again in mid-series, it's over. Like let's say someone gives him a hard foul, they give him a hard chop, then it can affect it. So I think they want to put out the best product possible, and of course availability and not dealing with injuries. You don't want the what ifs in a final. You want the best teams to face off and may the best team win.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it really depends. Now, if Embiid is playing possum and he's good, then okay, he comes back and he dominates. Maybe Philly goes to the Eastern Conference Finals and see where it goes from there.
Right.
And I'll say this. This is another storyline, potentially. Okay. Miami playing 76ers. Remember, they passed up on Jimmy to stay with Ben Simmons. So there's a storyline there. Jimmy's coming back to maybe haunt the 76ers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so there's things are interwoven, and it really depends on who is. I think this playoffs this year will be based on health. The healthiest teams will make it to the finals, and I think that's what people want to see, because you don't want to. Oh well, they would have been good, but they were missing this, and this. You know. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. Boston, I think, is the team that you would want to see, and I think the people want to see, the NBA would probably want to see, because they are most intact and they're not hobbled by any injuries. And so and Jalen and Tatum are good. Brown and Tatum are good guys to watch. I mean, right? They bring, they're very athletic guys. They're fun to watch, and good defensive team. Al Horford's still doing it. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he's still doing it. Hit some big shots against Atlanta the other night. And so, I agree with you there. I definitely agree that that's the team you want in the finals to represent the East. I think that's the way you want to go, because Philly, it's just, I don't know, they're just inconsistent. I can't Embiid. I just can't do it, man. He's too injury prone, man. Something's always with him. And I think the Knicks, I still think the Knicks is a good story, because again, it is New York, and you got Stephen A. screaming the Knicks, and so all that stuff adds to it. And they give you that element, because they don't have the names, but they do still have the cachet of the market. But but either way, you still looking at, if it's Miami, Philly, or Boston that prevails, you still pretty much got a good product for the most part. But I would rather see Boston out of the three. So
yeah, I agree. Now let's talk about Giannis.
Yep.
Giannis was, of course, after they lost 4-1 to Miami, Giannis was having a post-game press conference.
Yeah.
And of course, reporters will ask questions, and it's I would have to think it's tough, while you're dealing and you're in the emotions of either winning, you're super excited, losing. I mean, look at Dylan Brooks. After all the losses, he doesn't even do any post-game interviews. You have to be able, as we've said, gracious in winning and in defeat, right? So you have to face the music, and you have to take responsibility and accountability for your part in a win or a loss, right? Because if you're the best player on the team, you get all the credit.
And can I say this one real thing, D? Don't lose your thought. Shout out to Ja. He stood there, and when the reporter asked him last night, now, Ja, they're going to come for you because you said you were good in the West. And you know what he said? He said, oh, no problem. I said it. No problem. I'm good with that. I could take that. Shout out to Ja for owning his statement and then living with the consequences of it. But go ahead, D.
Yeah, so, and that shows leadership. That shows the fact that you're able to, those are the makings of a star, a superstar, a great player, right? Because people are, your whole life can't just be a highlight reel, right? Correct. There are times that you have to take defeat, and winning and losing is part of the game.
Sure.
But I think Giannis's point when he was asked, and we're going to play the clip, and we'll play the clip, and then we'll talk about, our takes on what he said.
Same question, but I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay, do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no? Okay, exactly. So why are you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's going to win. And this year, somebody else is going to win. Simple as that. We're going to come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, and hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures? No, it was not. It was steps to it, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one. Sorry that I didn't want to make it personal, because you asked me the same question last year, and last year I was in the right mind space to answer the question back, but I remember it. Next.
Okay, so listen, Giannis. Hey, Giannis. There is winning and losing in sports. What do you mean there's no losing in sports? I will say this. We can't, because Giannis is a people like Giannis, and overall he comes from we know he comes from good stock, right? We know that he is a hard worker. We've seen and heard about his perseverance and him pulling himself up by his bootstraps and being able to he worked hard and got himself to be an MVP, a finals MVP, a champion. But when it comes time, when a reporter asks you a question and you have the best record in the league and you have a first round exit by a play-in team, albeit Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, Miami Heat, a veteran coach, so on and so forth, and you're dealing with an injury. Yes, the team, it has to be considered a failure because there is an end part. And then he asked, well, do you always get the promotion? Yeah, no, you don't always get the promotion. But each year you play in the NBA, you're going for an NBA title. Each time you play in the NFL, you're trying to get a Super Bowl ring. Baseball, World Series, you name it, hockey, every sport, it has a window of time, and it has a end goal, and the end goal should be championships. We cannot give him a pass because he's a nice guy and he has a great story. Giannis, let me explain something. Giannis, that was totally to try to turn it on the reporter. Well, did you always do this? And do you always do that? He was about to get a little more personal, like you've never won before. And then he brought himself back in. But I'll say this, that was the wrong answer, the wrong way. Accept accountability. If in fact that you were really hurt and you couldn't play those games, then fine, it is what it is. But you can't now turn the tables on somebody, because if you have shown excellence throughout the whole season and then you exit in the first round, that couldn't have been your goal. You couldn't have gone into the game thinking, well, hey, listen, firemen don't always put out every fire and cops always don't make every arrest. No, you play to win the game. And if you don't do that and you exit fast, and you were favored to win it all. It wasn't like you were on the fringes. Brooklyn was on the fringes. Atlanta, really no shot of going anywhere. But the team with the best record in the East and who has been dominant has been the Milwaukee Bucks. So we don't want to hear any, this is for the love. Because a lot of players, they pick and choose. Because when Giannis first came into the league, he was nice. He was nicer, right? He was mild-mannered. He was not even, he was just playing. But then all of a sudden, he got a championship. He starts dunking and mean mugging and walking down the court. Okay, if you're going to do all of that, then when someone asks you losing and exiting in the first round and just winning one game, is that a failure? The answer should be, in short, yes, it was a failure. We'll do better. We'll come back. But then to turn it on the reporter is unacceptable. You're a superstar. You have to accept it. You get all the credit when your team wins. You have to accept it. Close your mouth and just suck it up. Yes, it was a failure, because I think he's a nice guy, and I just think that we wouldn't have accepted that from LeBron. We wouldn't have accepted that from Kevin Durant, right? If someone asks you, you're the number 1 seed and you exit in the first round to a play-in team, didn't go 7 games,
right.
You won 1 game, to say, oh, well, what about you? That's like somebody, I don't remember who the person was, but they said, I have a nice house and I have a good life and I'll be just fine. Somebody has said that, and we destroyed them for that, right? You remember? Listen, yeah, exactly. And so I won't say the name, but you get the point. We want the stars, the best players in the league. Giannis is a face of the league. I think that was a cop-out, and it was a weak response. We're not interested in your theory of life and evolution and how things, well, it's all about the journey. No, it's about winning and losing in your profession, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, people don't always win, and people don't always get the goal, the end goal, but yours, you have an end goal, and your goal every year, and I thought that's what it was up until this press conference, that, oh, well, we don't always do it, and we just get better, and then starting to try to turn the table on him. What do you say?
No, I totally agree, D. Yo, listen, we got to get some effects. We're going to get some effects and some sounds. Like when we get good takes like this, you know what I'm saying? We get the claps. No, I agree with you. I don't disagree with anything you said. And in fact, here's what I would say to this. Giannis obviously was in his emotion. So him kind of attacking the reporter, look, right? You ask those kind of questions. They just came off a loss about 30 minutes prior to. So he's still in his emotions. He's not fully processed yet, right? Everything has happened. I look at failure like this. Failure is really, to me, based upon whatever expectations you set, right? So if the expectation is set at a certain level, there's a barometer or a metric by which you measure your success and failure. If you don't meet that, then it is failure. And to make the contrast between, to your point, as an NBA player trying to win a championship, to a reporter who goes to work every day, and no one's looking to get promoted every year, right? Because promotions don't happen every year in a typical 9-to-5 setting of a job environment, right? No one gets promoted every year, but you could technically win a championship every year, right? So there's a difference in that whole aspect of it right there. But when I think about this whole thing with Giannis, the reason why I said failure is based upon the expectation. You won a championship 2 years ago. You are a cornerstone franchise player. So now you are expected to always be in the hunt. At the least, at the minimum, the expectation is that the Milwaukee Bucks is going to at least be in the conference finals, right? Or in the finals. Why? Because you won 2 years ago. You're just the same team for all intents and purposes. You have a nucleus of really good players. You got a really good coach. So you are expected. You are number 1 seed in the East. So therefore, the expectation says, at the minimum, not a championship, an Eastern Conference Finals or an appearance in the finals at the minimum, because that's the expectation. When Jordan finally got to the finals, he never stopped winning, right? Okay, he never stopped winning. He got there, set the bar high, and he stayed there. So that's the thing you got to understand. So Giannis and what he's saying there doesn't really make much sense in what he's saying, because it'd be different if you hadn't won yet. You were progressing, right? You were a team like, Sacramento this year. If Sacramento loses, right, everybody say, okay, that's a step that they're taking, right? No one's going to look at their season as a failure because they haven't accomplished anything, but they were better than they were last year. You were a champion two years ago, right? And you got bumped, and you got bumped in the first round. So that doesn't bode well to a play-in team. So, it doesn't add up. So again, expectations. But on the flip side, I understand what Giannis is saying in the sense, again, you don't win every year. But what he's missing is that once you have won already, now the barometer changes, the expectation window changes, and now it becomes a lot shorter. So for the Milwaukee Bucks, anything less than a conference finals is a failure. Period, point blank. Why? Because of the success that they had already captured. It's based on what past performance is, based on what the potentiality of that team is, and where they stand now. And when you put that whole equation together, the average is nothing less than a conference finals. So you don't get the same latitude than the Kings would get because they're on a come up or something like that, or even Memphis for that matter, right? Other teams that are still trying to come up and play well and that kind of same thing with the Boston Celtics, right? They didn't win the finals last year, but everyone's at least expecting them to get to the conference finals, right? At least because that's how good they are. And they were a top seed in the league, in the Eastern Conference. So, no, but I agree with you, D. I think you hit it spot on. Yeah, everything is there. So I would just say.
And then Michael Jordan catching a stray. He's somewhere with, he's somewhere. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. He's somewhere playing golf, and then he gets a stray.
Exactly, right.
Saying, bringing up, hey, what about all the years that he didn't win? He's a failure. Like, now you're starting to pull at straws.
Yeah.
The reporter asked you about it.
Right.
He took shots, if you think about it, and maybe subtle.
Sequentially, it doesn't even make sense using
right. He took shots at MJ unnecessarily, and I don't know if he was maliciously taking shots.
No. And I don't think it was a shot at MJ, to be honest with you, my opinion. But yeah,
I think so, because if I ask you a question, right? Yeah, and I'm asking you something specifically about you. And then you say, well, this person, the same age, they didn't do X, Y, Z. Why? What does that person have to do with the question asked? What does Milwaukee, the Bucks, the lapse that they hadn't won a championship? Why did you bring all of that up?
Because I think with him, the reason why he brought it up, and the reason why I don't think it was a shot at Michael Jordan, it's just that because his point technically was twisted. Again, right? He's in the emotion of the moment, but his point was twisted. He's trying to say that just because you don't win a championship doesn't mean you're a failure. Well, yes, but sequentially speaking, it's a bad argument because yes, Michael Jordan didn't win 9 of the 15 years he played. However, he led up. Once he got to the mountaintop, he never came back down. Right. So sequentially, your argument makes no sense. Whereas you won a finals, you were already,
and now you have 2 exits. Early exits in the playoffs following that.
Correct.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, and I get what you're saying about Michael Jordan, but why even bring him up? You could have kept it general. You didn't have to, and maybe he used Michael Jordan because arguably he's the greatest player ever to play.
He's the measure, right?
But why even bring him up? Just say there aren't champions that win all the time. No player has won every year that they've played. And you could have just left it at that. But to pull Michael Jordan and every Bucks player that ever played for the Bucks, you did that. Right. You didn't have to do it. Yeah. So clearly,
I agree.
I know that they want to interview people, but when emotions are still raw, sometimes they say stuff, and especially if they're put on the spot, and the person is obviously trying to hit you with a piercing question to either get you to react or,
which is what the media wants, right?
Course,
that's the perfect time to ask the question. Yeah.
So I think sometimes you don't always answer the right way. Maybe if he had thought about it, he said last year when they exited, he wasn't in the right mental space, so he didn't answer. Maybe he should have taken that and said, you know what, it's too raw right now. Yeah. I got to think about it. Sometimes, and he's really good with the media overall. He's an extremely likable guy, and everyone likes his story. But just because that's the case, we can't give him a pass. It's about winning and losing, right?
Absolutely.
And we realize going into it, you can't win it all. But to start pulling other people is not necessary.
I agree.
So let's go to the last subject. We got an interesting story. Okay, so in the news, I don't know what prompted this press conference, but they had a press conference with Brittney Griner.
Right.
And we have a video that we're going to play. But before we do, I'll just kind of give a little kind of synopsis of the video. initially the reporter asked her about, playing overseas, because we understand that a lot, not all, but a lot of the, bigger names in the WNBA, they play overseas. And part of that is to supplement their income. Part of that is because, it is such in comparison to the NBA, it is such a smaller market that they don't make the mega contracts that, the NBA players make. But rightfully so. They don't make that because they're not producing that type of, whether it's sponsors or the interest is not the same way that it is with the NBA. So naturally, the pay usually reflects profits, and they're able to share it with the players and so on and so forth. So they asked her if she was interested in going or playing overseas. She said she's never going to go overseas again to play unless she's playing and representing the U.S. Olympics, right?
Right.
And so she said she doesn't knock the people that do that, but she is not, because of the pay gap, there is, that's why, some of these WNBA players find themselves overseas to supplement their pay. I get it that somehow, realistically speaking, we have to be realistic with this understanding. The NBA and the WNBA are as far as the East is from the West. I mean, like, they're not even close in revenue. They're not close in product. So you realistically cannot expect to get any pay even remotely close to just a marginal player on their team, on an NBA team.
Right.
And so I think in her statement, she made a statement about it and kind of, we have to do this because of the pay gap. But her issue being detained was because she went out of the country and broke the law. Take accountability for what you did. At the end of the day, if you want to be, if LeBron went, right? Because if you want to be named as a superstar and paid the same way, if LeBron was playing overseas, or he did something and they found something in his luggage that was against the law in that country, and he was detained, whatever it may, like if it was Russia or wherever it was, he would have to deal with that situation. If he had broke the law in that place, the fact that you had to travel somewhere else to supplement your income has nothing to do with you breaking the law. Correct. And I think that she's trying to blend it together to give herself a pass. Well, I wouldn't have had the hashish if I didn't have to go to Russia. Well, no. One has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
We understand why you aren't getting paid the LeBron and the KD and the Anthony Davis wages because your product is not the same.
Right.
You breaking the law is a separate incident. You getting detained for having a substance that is against the law are two different subjects. But I think she tried to kind of just mesh them together. What do you say?
I agree, D. I think you hit it spot on. I mean, she definitely tried to slip under the radar the lack of responsibility for her actions, and I kind of look at accountability and responsibility differently. I think accountability is something you do before you do the act, right? It's something you say, hey, look, I'm about to do something and it's not going to be good, but I'm letting you know, right? That's accounting. In other words, you are putting into consideration something before it happens. And then responsibility is the thing that you do after. So when somebody does something wrong, you have to be responsible for your actions, because responsibility has an end and a beginning context to it. You got to be responsible for something from its initial point all the way to the end. That's being responsible. And that's what Brittney Griner is not taking responsibility for her actions. And the money differential has nothing to do with anything. Okay, that is a completely moot point in that situation. So, and again, other players go overseas and they do it to supplement their income, but they don't get arrested either, right? They go over there and they perform their job, they do what they got to do, and then they come home when they got to come home when the season is over there. They're not, getting caught with anything illegal. They're not breaking any laws. They know what they're doing. And so that's the whole thing. And just for the viewers out there, the WNBA generates much less, as we know. They only generate $60 million compared to $7.4 billion. Okay, to 7.4 to 7.92 billion is what the NBA, the WNBA, okay, only gets 60 million. All right, and also too, they distribute a smaller percentage of its revenue to its players, only 20% versus 50% to the NBA, right? So obviously, it's a whole different product. We see it, right? They say also in his research, the WNBA's revenue is not enough to cover the salaries of some NBA players, right? So a lot of these players up there obviously compensate, again, going overseas. They also supplement their income is the word I was looking for. I'm sorry, not compensate, but supplement their income with advertising dollars and getting endorsements and things of that nature. But again, it is a moot point. That means nothing. You messed up when you went over there. And yeah, you're traumatized by it. I get it. It affected you. I get it. Your loved ones, obviously, it was an ordeal. It is going to make you say, you know what? I just don't want nothing to do with that, right? But then at some point, you're going to have to eventually get settled, right? You're going to have to get established in your thought process of everything that occurred and just say, you know what? Do I blame Russia? Do I blame really what happened? Or do I blame myself for what it is that I've done, right? And, nobody's accusing her of being a bad person or a person that is, the generator or anything like that. No, not at all. She made a mistake. No question about it. And she, had to endure the consequences of her actions. She obviously didn't endure as much as we still got other captives over there, right? And she did get out in what would be considered a reasonable amount of time, and her celebrity and all of the support she had here in the United States certainly, was very instrumental in her early, exit, if you will, out of Russia's custody. But at the end of the day, D, you spot on. You can't mix or mesh the two. Take accountability. The money differential has nothing to do with it. And it is what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And real quick, we're going to talk about with this same interview.
Right.
Reporter asked her a question. We're going to play the video and then we'll have our response to it. But here we go.
Good morning, Brittney. I'm Bill Roden from ESPN Landscape. It's really great to see you. It's good to know the prayers have been answered. The question, you've always represented so much throughout your entire career about access and, being able to do stuff. And I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but there are a number of states who are aggressively moving to prevent transgender athletes playing. And I was wondering, again, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but in terms of on your radar, where is that? You're going to have a tremendous platform, but where is that going to be on your radar in terms of advocating for, athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes, to be able to play?
Oh, I mean, that ranks high on the list of things that I'll be fighting for and speaking up against. Everyone deserves the right to play. Everyone deserves the right to come here, sit in these seats, and feel safe and not feel like there's a threat or they can't be who they are or like it's just all eyes on them. So I think it's a crime, honestly, to separate someone for any reason. So I definitely will be speaking up against that legislation and those laws that are trying to be passed for sure.
Okay, so how does this help you? I'm wondering, how does this help if you said that you have to travel to another country to supplement your income and you want the product to be acknowledged and supported the same way the NBA, you're hoping sponsors come. This hurts women's sports. I mean, am I missing something? This is hurting women's sports. If we've already seen it with a swimmer, a transgender swimmer that was marginal, kind of bottom of the barrel as a male swimmer, goes and identifies as a woman and swims, and he dominates the women's sport in swimming. You take any marginal player in the NBA, you take Dylan Brooks. We think Dylan Brooks is just all talk. You put Dylan Brooks in the WNBA, he is going to average 30 and 15 a game. He's going to dominate. This is not what you want for women's sports. I get it that you want to elevate it and you want more of a focus. You want sponsors. You want a machine to get behind the WNBA. But let's face it. Let's be honest about it. This hurts your cause. In one instance, you're saying that, people have to go and supplement, and you're in the top tier of the WNBA players. You're the Kevin Durant of the WNBA, right? Yep. So you got the Sue Bird, who might be Steph Curry. You got what's her name? I forget what her name is. Skylar Diggins. You got So you got players like that who you would think in their league, they're the equivalent. They're the face of the league in the WNBA. If you now want to add a transgender player who is going to be naturally better than you, it might be taller, stronger, that hurts the product that you're going to put out. I don't understand why you would have to, you are actually going against your best interest. You're hurting yourself by saying, I'm going to advocate for this. I'm going to advocate for a person to come and be better than me. I'm the epitome or the top tier, and I'm only making $200,000 a year, right? Right. Because the top salaries for the top players, Sue Birds, and she's retired, but the top players, Tarasi and all of them, they're only making like $200,000, right?
$221,000,
As opposed to Steph Curry, who's making $50 million a year, right? Precisely. So it's apples and oranges. But now you want to put a transgender player in, that's going to hurt not only your bottom line as it pertains to now the money that you do have. You may not be the star anymore. Somebody will come and be better than you. Right. So then where does that put you? How does that help your cause? Or are you just taking on causes that you think, because maybe it's not even about basketball for her anymore? This is what I'm thinking. It's maybe you're trying to transition out of the NBA or the WNBA, excuse me. And now you're taking on causes that are going to kind of put you in, maybe you have political aspirations. Right. Maybe you have something else, because this is not someone, if I'm playing, put it like this. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, LeBron says, you know what? I want to be in the WNBA now. Right. And one day he wakes up and says, you know what? I want to identify as a female 6'9", 260 pound power forward. Right. What is anybody in the WNBA going to do about that? He can be 48 years old. Exactly. What are you going to do with him? Right. So we got to be careful what we ask for. Be careful for what you ask for, because if you get it, it's going to be it's going to hurt you. If you're trying to grow, you need to grow it, and you don't want anybody to not be able to play, but it certainly hurts you if they do play. What do you say?
Man, D, you on fire today, bro, for real. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even think of that part of it, like how she's actually hurting a cause. She's completely antithetical to what would actually help the WNBA, right? And bringing in transgender players in the WNBA, let's just say, right? Because if that's what your cause is going to be, and that's what you're going to fight for, right? Then it's assumed that you're talking about on a wider spectrum, not just in high school sports and at the collegiate level, but at the professional level too, right? Because nobody's playing sports in high school and trying to get a scholarship in college if they're not at least having some aspirations to go to the professional level. So yeah, you're going to hurt your brand. And I have to be quite honest, I would think that there's some, or probably a good handful of WNBA players that are like, yo, Britt, what are you talking about? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Taking the same position you're taking, because what you're doing is counterintuitive to what we need. Like we need to be able to stand on our own and be able to promote our sport with just the women. It's the WNBA. And the truth is, in my opinion, D, I mean, I don't agree with it on any level, regardless to what tier of sport it is. Just go ahead and create a league for that then. Create a league for transgenders. If they want to play amongst themselves and they can do that, that's fine, because biologically, scientifically, nothing changes in terms of what you're talking about, the physical makeup of a person. So at the end of the day, the whole competition thing has been compromised. So again, Brittney may have a different agenda. As you stated, D, maybe something's beyond this, because it's already been speculated, right, that she was going to become now some activist, perhaps, since what happened to her, in Russia. And now she's kind of, gotten maybe a little more sober-minded, if you will. And I say that in air quotes again, and I'm saying that in air quotes because everyone has their own opinion of how they see things. So, it's what someone sees life or society in one way is not the same as somebody else. So if she's become more sober-minded in that thing, then hey, you go on and you want to advocate for whatever your beliefs are, whatever your convictions are, then by all means you go on and do that. But at the same time, you're hurting, as you stated eloquently, D, your brand, your business, your industry, and you're hurting the people that play with you. And that's not what I'm sure anybody in the WNBA would want. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, right, who's going to be affected when you have the transgender element in there? It's the women. The women are going to be impacted, right? Because that's what you're primarily seeing from what I've been seeing and reading, right? If, as you say, a young boy wakes up and says, hey, I'm going to identify myself as a female athlete. And like you say, if they were marginal at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of performance in their sport with other men, now they're going to come over into the women. And guess what? They're going to have a lot of success, in that particular field. And so because you don't see it the other way around, right? I don't think you see a woman wanting to play men's basketball.
And then if that's what you want, if it's about pay, if you can cut it, because Brittney has said she's a better player than DeMarcus Cousins. She has said that. And DeMarcus, he was like, I would just destroy you and dominate. And they got reactions from other NBA players and they just kind of laughed it off. Right. Try out for the NBA. Yeah. You want to make $40 million a year? Try out for the NBA. If you make the team, their problem solved. Phoenix has a team, right? You play for the Mercury. Ask Kevin Durant, listen, let's go to the gym. Let me get a job with the NBA. Exactly. I don't think the NBA, I don't think there's anything in the bylaws that says you can't be a female and play for the NBA. Go for it. Yeah, you good enough? True. You good enough. Go. Yeah. You ain't. Yeah. You don't even have to leave the state you live in.
Right.
But let's be realistic about that. If that would be the easiest way, right? The easiest path to it, and
you can make the money
is if I want to make the money and I don't want to have to travel to another country to supplement my income.
Right.
How many NBA teams are there?
Right.
California has 4. Right?
Yeah.
You got Phoenix, right? You got superstars. They could use another big, right?
Right.
You and DeAndre Ayton could take turns. You could give DeAndre Ayton, or you could take the starting role from DeAndre Ayton.
Exactly. And you know what else, D? And you know what else, D? The truth is, if that was to happen, right? And she made any amount of money, obviously it'll be more than what she's getting at WNBA, but it wouldn't be because of a skill set. It would be because people would want to see how dominated she would be playing on the court. So someone's going to pay, you know what, we'll give her $20 million a year just to see how she won't succeed on the court with other men. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And so, I know this is a very sensitive topic. It gets touchy with people and different things of that nature. And listen, do whatever you're doing. But my thing is this, listen, when it comes to sports, there is a distinction. And again, they're from the anatomy of things, biologically speaking, men are created differently than women. And so whatever you could say, whatever you want, it is what it is. And you're going to see that contrast in a very distinct way if you have opposite genders playing in a sport. And then you've got obviously the transgender now coming in. No matter what you identify yourself as, you are what you are. And that level of makeup is going to still be evident in that performance, if that, so that's it. Yeah, I feel you on that. But if she wants to make that money, it ain't because of her skill set. It's going to be because of the fact that they just, it's something to see. You know what I mean? So, but
if she is good enough to take a NBA slot on that team, on the Phoenix, they got the Suns. listen, they got a new owner. He's uber rich. I'm sure if she's good enough to make the cut, I'm sure he'll sign her.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not about traveling to a different country. You have avenues here. Advocate for that. Hey, I think I'm good enough to be an NBA player, right? Give me a shot. Give me a fair chance to try to make an NBA team. And if I can't make it, then you know, whatever. But to now start discouraging people who didn't get caught up against the law and doing stuff that was a violation to certain countries, and then you're trying to kind of demonize that. No. Take responsibility for what you did. That's because all the other years that you were going overseas, there wasn't a problem. The second you got caught up, then it's I'm never going over. Yeah, I'm sure you're never going to go overseas because you probably can't separate the two. Like, yo, I gotta have this. You know, I gotta have this joint, so I'm not going overseas no more. Whatever the case may be.
Right.
But hey, listen, it is what it is. Time will tell. But I do think from just seeing her, she cut all her locks off. I think she does have different aspirations, and it may not be NBA. She might be trying to become an activist, more so an advocate, and kind of use the NBA because that or the WNBA as her platform to kind of start her advocacy in other, areas. She's barking up the wrong tree.
Definitely,
she's barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, you made a good point on that, D. No question. Yeah, definitely is going to hurt the NBA if she takes that position. That just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But in any case, man, shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout outs to Kingdom Creative for the production.
Again, always.
Once again, thanks everyone for joining us. Like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. I can't say it enough. Share. Like. Subscribe, and subscribe. We appreciate all of the comments. We appreciate all of the, feedback that we're getting from our posts and our videos. Please tell a friend. Until next time, Rod, thanks for joining.
Always,
awesome
D.
show. Until next time. Peace.